in listen-only mode.
Hello everyone, welcome to the LFM webinar. If you can hear me, please raise your hand using the raise your hand icon on the GoToMeeting control panel. All right, perfect. I see several hands going up. Thank you very much. All right, we will go ahead and get started here. All right, my name is Lori McNeely. I'm a customer support specialist, and joining me is Ed Conry and Nandu Gopalan. And Nandu will be manning the questions for us today.
Hey Lori, I can't see your screen.
Let me do the show my screen. I thought I clicked it, but apparently I did not. All right, looks like everybody can see and hear me now. Very good. All right, and before we get started, we will go over a few FAQs. If you have a question, please use that question box here in the GoToMeeting control panel. I asked about raising your hand in case you couldn't find it earlier, and we mentioned that again. Here is where you can find the raise your hand icon. We will be recording it. In fact, we're recording it right now. I do see that my recording is running. We will have this available on our help site so that you can view it in the future, as well as we already have our other past webinars on our help site as well. Our next webinar will be on Tuesday, April 23rd at noon Central Time. And we are doing these in version 7.7 and higher. So today we're going to go over what the LFM portal is, how it works. This is a very complex topic, so we're going to cover a lot of things at a high level, and we're planning on covering a lot of the configurations in a separate webinar. We're not going to go over very many of the configurations today, maybe just a couple so you can see how some of the setups are done, but we will just be keeping this at the high level. We're going to have some survey questions for you today, and we'll give you the results of those as we go along. And the About section, first we need to find out if you would have the requirements for the LFM. If you click on the About, or the applications in the lower right corner of your Ultriva screen, you would then click About, and then you would see which features are installed. And what we are talking about today are these features here in the red box. And first we'll talk about the internal Kanban feature. And that's where you're using these interconnected loops between your work centers. You could set up a two-bin system, set up auto-receive and auto-accept for the work centers, and then the operators wouldn't really need to touch the system. They would mostly just be scanning your labels. Next we would talk about scheduling, and this is where the jobs get sequenced based on specific rules and parameters that we can set up in the system. It's highly configurable. And then the operator then just starts and closes the jobs that are sequenced automatically for them. And with that, you can also have the operations, the overall equipment effectiveness. If you set up the machines and operations in Ultriva, you can see the metrics for that, and also see the information about how your users are doing as well. So the LFM, it does enable the collaboration so that you can see the demand for your internally supplied items. You do have the ability to have the production scheduling and the sequencing tool capabilities. And this can be used in conjunction with the collaborative demand portal or customer module. We did that webinar last month, so that you could translate these sales orders into your production requirements for your manufacturing. And then additionally, your LFM consumption could then be used to drive your CSP or your supplier module, so your supplier orders.
So some of the advantages of Ultriva's LFM module is that it provides real-time visibility and control of your production orders, so you can see the status that they're in and manipulate them within the day's sequence as well. And like I said, we do provide the tools to reschedule orders, whether you need to expedite or defer a production order, or to resequence it within a specific day's schedule based on those day-to-day situations that you might face. We also have the ability to assist you in optimizing your production operations at each production cell by allowing you to define specific product characteristics that we can use to create logic in the way that we sequence your specific orders so that you can reduce the amount of changeovers or setups that are required. The supplying work centers of a manufactured item do get to see consolidated demand for all of their customers. So they know that they sell one part to 14 different customers. They see that demand as one lump sum number, so they know what they need to build. And we have lots of reporting capabilities, two of the most popular being the overall equipment effectiveness, or OEE metric, and the operator efficiency, some also termed as earned hours. So we'll give you a few examples of the types of loops that are supported by this LFM module. And the first one we'll talk about is a distribution center to a final assembly line. So as that distribution center ships goods to an end user or customer, we can trigger that sales order to create demand for that final assembly line, letting them know that they need to replenish the finished goods to the distribution center. Additionally, we can have the final assembly line that requires some products from a subassembly line. So as that final assembly line sees that demand and makes those parts, we can trigger demand back to subassembly to let them know that we need to deliver more components or subassemblies to final before they'll be able to deliver more to the distribution center. Then we can work our way upstream a little bit from there, and we can say that we have a loop identified between a raw materials supermarket and that subassembly line, and that as the subassembly line consumes its components and manufactures goods for final assembly, we create a pick list for the supermarket telling them, the material handlers, what they need to deliver to subassembly so that they can continue to build. And the last loop that we're going to go through today here is a loop between that supermarket that's holding your raw materials and your external warehouse or supplier. So as you were to deliver those raw materials to that subassembly line, we backflush that inventory or remove that inventory from your supermarket. If you have a Kanban loop set up between your supermarket and your suppliers or that external warehouse, we can then create a purchase order or a pick list telling them that we've moved raw materials from our supermarket, they're considered consumed, and we need to replenish those. Additionally, in Ultriva we have a large number of rules that can be configured to send alerts via either email or browser. And a few of those that really pertain to this module might be when a production order is closed. So let's say an operator closes one production order, and we want our operations manager or production supervisor or master scheduler to receive an alert in their email that this was completed. We can set that up. Additionally, we allow you to attach notes to cards in Ultriva, and we do the same thing in our LFM module. So if a production order is held by an operator, we allow them to attach a note, and there's things that you can configure. So maybe it's my machine is down. They can also put in, if they were to say part shortage, what part is short. And then that rule would trigger an email alert or browser alert to the master scheduler or the production supervisor, letting them know that the operator had to stop building for whatever reason they've determined. We can also configure a rule that says that this production order needs to be completed today, it's due, or a production order is past due and it should have already been completed. And maybe that needs to go to the master scheduler to make sure that it's at the top of the list or the top of the schedule for today.
All right, and with that, we are ready for poll questions number 1 and 2. So we'll start with poll question number 1, and we'll go ahead and launch that. So, how are you scheduling production today? We have a few choices there. So go ahead and vote and submit your answer. I see several coming in now. All right, we'll give this a few more seconds. I still see a few more votes coming in. All right, looks like voting has leveled off here, so we will go ahead and close that. And we will go ahead and share the results here. Looks like most people are getting that from their MRP or ERP. Okay, so we'll go ahead and hide that. Thank you very much. And now we will launch poll question number 2. So how do you transmit the schedule to the operator? All right, I see several votes coming in. All right, I'll give this about 5 more seconds here. Give people time to vote. All right, very good. Looks like most people have voted here. We'll go ahead and close that. And we'll go ahead and share the results of that. So it looks like 40% paper, some electronically, and several spreadsheets as well. All right, thank you for that. We will go ahead and hide that, and we'll jump back over here to our slides.
So as we said earlier, we're not going to get too in-depth into the configuration of this module, but we're going to touch on a few things. And the first is what we call some of the schedule configuration. And this is a kind of an administrative role that will be doing this, but the 2 major things that we define on the screen, and we'll show you this in the demo as well, are your capacity per day and the number of shifts. Additionally, we spoke a little bit about those custom parameters that we can add that are characteristics of the items that you need to manufacture. We can define those, and then in this screen, and we'll show you this as well, we are able to prioritize them based on in order, starting from the most important being at the top and working our way down. And then we'll use these actually in the production sequence to sort those production orders. And we'll show you how you can set this up as well. And then this screen is more of a transaction screen. This is maybe a production supervisor or a master scheduler role that would be looking at this primarily. But some things that the screen will allow you to do might be to reschedule an order. So maybe you want to push an order out or schedule it on a sooner date. Or maybe you need to mark an order hot for that day, that it needs to be built before anything else that we have on our list or our schedule for today. Or to just manipulate the way that the orders are sorted. Maybe you want to bump up a card a couple pieces to make sure that it gets built today. And then we also have some capacity utilization information that we'll show you as well. And then the last thing here will be, you can see that there are some Ultriva card numbers there, and the one that we just had our mouse over was green. That means that an operator is currently building that order, and that means it's started. 2 down from there, we can see that there's a yellow one. And what that means is that the operator has had to hold that job. And when we're in the screen, we'll show you that when I mouse over, I can see the reason behind that in the notes field, whether it was a part shortage or a machine's down that needs maintenance, etc. If we were to use that reschedule button, this is what the Ultriva would prompt you to do. It would ask you that, when do you want to move this order to, and you could specify a date there. And some of the driving factors behind this reschedule might be material availability. Maybe a supplier missed a shipment, so you don't have the components to build it today. Or maybe you just need to expedite. Your customer's asking you, I know I told you that I needed it here, but I really need it sooner. So you're trying to help them out, and you want to pull it up in your schedule. Or some other factors, such as you've looked at your capacity and you don't have enough capacity on a given day to build everything that's there, so you want to move those orders around.
All right, and now we'll talk about the operator or technician, what they see when they log in. And the very first thing you kind of notice is that those sorting rules that we had set up, it's automatically sorted and sequenced for them based on those parameters. And and what they need to do is first is obviously at the very top. And so next they have several other things that they can choose from. They can do a start setup. So on the machine, before they get started for the day, maybe they need to switch over some blades or gather up the tools they need for this specific piece. They can do a start setup, and then once they've made all the changeovers, they can then do the end setup. After that, they would have the ability to start the job. hold the job for a particular reason. If they needed to take a break, it would just pause the screen. And then when they're ready, any job that started, if they're ready to close it, they would then close that. All right, so once they're ready, they start a job. A screen pops up and allows them to say, yes, I'm ready to start this job. This one does have a little drop down here for machine, and this would be highly configurable. If you have more than one machine for an operation, then the operator would get to choose which machine that they are going to start the job on. And then when they're ready to close that job, they have several things here. By default, the close quantity is the card quantity. If the operator needs to change that, they can change that quantity. If they do change the quantity and they're not going to make any more pieces for this card, they can mark it as the final lot. Otherwise, if the close quantity is the same as the card quantity, there's no need to put the check mark there. And if there's any scrap, they can enter in the scrap amount here. And then down at the bottom, we can capture the scrap reason. They can type in, the reason for that scrap. Or if additional operators help them, they could scan their operator badge there, and it would add the operator to this part as well, that they helped work on it. And if there was more than one worker, they could be separated by commas. Or you could always type in the Ultriva login ID for that person, whichever is most convenient there. All right, any job that started can be put on hold, and there are, here we see a range of options for the operator to choose from. These are highly configurable based on your needs, and then the operator would just get to choose the reason for holding the job. And then they can add any more notes as well. And then once that's saved, as long as that notes rule or alert is set up, the supervisor or whomever is assigned to that alert would then be notified why this job was held. Next, we will talk about the overall equipment effectiveness. So if you have your machines and everything set up in here, you can get a lot of metrics out of Ultriva to see where you are and maybe where Ultriva can help you to improve. There are several OEE reports as well. A very nice closed production report you can run it by a date range for a day or a week or however long. You can view your operator efficiency and your any scrap. If you in keeping track of the scrap, you can run the scrap report. And one very nice thing as well is we have an OEE dashboard. So if you have your machines and everything set up in Ultriva, you could get to that dashboard by going to the home screen, clicking on that little drop-down box next to Buyer Home, and selecting OEE dashboard. And one thing that we did want to point out that if a machine does have some downtime entered, the availability would go down. And it would adjust it so that the operator performance doesn't really take a hit due to that. And with that, we are ready to start our demo.
So the first thing that we want to show you, we'll go through a couple of those configurations that we did in the presentation. And the first one that we talked about was setting up your schedule. So we'll show you those screens, and we'll do that by going to the admin menu and then to the schedule configuration option. The first tab here is schedule, and this is where we would define our daily capacity as well as the number of shifts. The second tab, this is where we're able to specify those custom fields. So maybe if you had a work cell that was responsible for powder coating or painting, color might be something that's really important, or even size of what you're painting, so that you know that, I want to group everything by color first so that I don't have to change, reprogram my paint line, etc. Or let's say you had a sheet metal fabrication work center, then maybe it was tooling, so such as your die or your stamp. and then the raw material that was required for each of those. You wanted to group those together so that you didn't incur excessive changeovers. So once we've defined these fields, we can go to the sort info here. And this is where we put those fields to action. So we say that, first of all, my hot orders, those are the most important ones in each day. So those need to be at the very top. So you can see they're at the top. And then I want to group by tooling because, the tooling, the setups are the most expensive part of my day. I lose the most productivity there. And then I also might incur the most scrap by doing those extra changeovers. So then within my tooling, I can specify that I want to run color, size, etc. And then lastly by item number. So you can set this up, and it really depends on what the characteristics are of the parts that you're building in each work center. So you can customize it at that level. So once we've created these, we'll show you where this data is stored. So if we go to admin and then supplier item, we'll see all of the items that we are a supplier of. And we can just pick one of these and click Edit. And when we scroll down, we'll see all of those 4 fields that we created, those custom fields that that hold the characteristics of our part. So you can see that we've populated orange for color and a 0.55 for size, and the tooling is a 22th per inch dado blade. So we can set this up for each item. So from here, that's all the configuration that we're going to go through. But we want to show you that master scheduler screen that we just touched in the presentation. So we'll go to Actions, and then Supplier Actions, and Resequence Production Orders. And the first thing that we want to do here is add this to our favorites. Because we're going to spend a lot of time on this screen, we can
Oops. Sorry about that.
Go back there and see if we had this on our favorites, we wouldn't have to go through these menus. We could simply click on favorites and we'll add this here. And now if we click on it, we'll see that Resequence Production Order is there. So from any screen in Ultriva, you can click on favorites, click on Resequence, and it'll bring you to this screen. So now that we're here, the first thing, we'll look at this capacity utilization report. And this will give us an overview of what our demand looks like by day for the days that we have demand for. So we can see that today is the 26th, and you can see each day we have some red bars and some green bars, only one red bar, and that's today. But you can see that the full white box there displays how much capacity you have, and what's inside that box will tell you how much demand you have. So you can see today is red, and what that's telling us is that we only have 8 hours of capacity, but we have more demand than we can build in 8 hours. So right there we see that our capacity required when we mouse over is 10 hours and 6 minutes. So there's a good chance we're not going to build everything that it thinks we need to. So maybe we'll move those out here in just a couple minutes. We can also scroll down here and we can see by day what our capacity requirement is. So you can see that most of the days it's around the 5 to 6 hour mark. Today is pretty heavy, and then tomorrow is a little bit light. We can also see to the right what our capacity utilization as a percentage is. And we can also, if we scroll to the top, export this screen to Excel, or we can print it. And maybe we want to take that to, maybe we have a morning status meeting to go through and see what things look like. So you can get that very easily. So we'll go ahead and we'll click our favorites here, and we're going to go back to the Resequence Production Order screen. And we're going to show you, we're currently on the active orders screen, so this is where we can actually kind of override that automatic scheduling that Ultriva is able to do. But first we want to show you another tab here. So currently this is active orders. Next to that we have a completed orders tab, and if we click that, this will show us everything that has been completed within the range that we specify. So currently we're looking at only today. And we can see that Lori has built quite a few cards or orders. You can see the card IDs there. And you can see, when she finished them. You could also come in and reprint the label here by clicking that print. So let's go back to active orders, and we'll show you some of the things that you can do on the screen. So you can also see, just like on that capacity utilization report, we can see that we have way more demand than we can build today. So I think we'll start, and maybe we'll move a few orders to tomorrow, since we know that tomorrow is not as heavy. We'll take, let's say, 3 orders, and we're going to simply select them and click Reschedule. Now we can see that this is March, and we want to move them to Friday the 27th. So we'll say, are you sure? We'll say, absolutely. And those will be gone. Now we're only at 79% of our capacity, and maybe we're at 103 tomorrow, so maybe we could have left 1 order. But that's how you can reschedule, and we could do the opposite. We could take an order from Friday and move that into Thursday if we needed to. But something that you may encounter might be that, this order is supposed to be built today, but it's the very last order that I'm going to build. So maybe I want to reprioritize this, and I want to make sure that we build these, now, or if not now, but as soon as possible. So we have this hot flag field, and we can put in a hot flag there, and maybe it's ordering my goods 1 and ordering my goods 2. Once we populate that, we can click Hot Order, and we can see now that the system has bumped those all the way to the top. You're billing number 1 first and number 2 second. And what happens for the operators is Ultriva will automatically refresh that production sequence screen, and these orders will be bumped to the top automatically. So there's no need to print out anything or call them or visit them to tell them that their schedule is changing. This can be done directly from your desk. So the third thing we can see here, and we touched this in the presentation, is we can see that we have some that are highlighted yellow. And that means that our production orders are held for some reason. And if we mouse over them, we can see that in the notes, they've specified that there's a part shortage. And they've actually listed the part there. So from the screen, you can see that. And if we had configured the rule, somebody would have also received an email with that same information. For the second one, the note's a little bit different. It says that the body cell assembly saw number 2 is down. So it needs maintenance. And also, if we had that row configured, somebody would have already seen this as well. But it is displayed there for you. Additionally, while we're on this screen, if an operator had completed a partial order, we can see what the card quantity is here. It says 50 for all of these. If they had completed 25 and then had to stop, we could see next to that they had completed 25 and that completed quantity just to the right.
All right, and that's about it right now for the supervisor here. I'll log in as an operator now. Oops, I don't think I typed that right. All right, so as an operator, I'm assigned to specific operations and machines. And so this the screen pops up automatically. It is sorted based on our rules. But as you can see, the 2 that we moved with the hot flag are up here at the top for us to do the very first thing here. So we are ready to start these jobs. So we just put a check mark, and we would select Start Job. I do have a choice of machines here, SAW 1 or SAW 2, and again, this is configurable. I did put in 2 machines, so that's why the operator has the choice here of which one they're going to be doing the work on. So maybe we're going to do our work here on SAW 2 today here. So we'll go ahead and say Start Job. So we have these 2 jobs started. And if we would like, we could look to see, we have several tabs here. So the second one is Orders in Production. As you can see on this screen, I see a lot of things. But if I, even jobs that are not started, like this job is for today, but it's not started. If I click this Orders in Production, that's just means show me all the jobs that have been started. And again, these jobs have been started, the ones that are in yellow. However, they are on hold for the moment. All right, so once we are done, we can go ahead and close our 2 jobs that we just now started. I'm going to keep this as the same close quantity. We did make 50, but maybe on this first piece, oops, sorry, my mouse was in the wrong, my cursor was in the wrong field here. Maybe for the scrap, this was maybe our first piece of the day, so we had some initial setup scrap. All right, so we can go ahead and put that, and maybe somebody else helped me. I logged in as Dolores Jones here, but maybe Lori helped me out on this, so I can put in Lori's login or scan her badge, and then we have all of our stuff. We're ready to go ahead and close this job. All right, and right now our labels are printing here. All right, and those printed automatically. We didn't have to actually click the print card button. So our labels have printed. I kind of have them printed to a screen here, but that's a part of what one of them looks like. All right, and so now that we have a couple of jobs that we have closed, we can have a look at a couple of the other tabs here. So on the completed orders, we can see that we did complete some orders here, the 2 that we just did. If we needed to reprint that label, either one of them, maybe the printer jammed or something, we could come here and reprint that label. And we could change our date range. If we wanted to see what we had also done previously earlier in the week, we could do that as well, change our date range. Our operator efficiency, we can see how many hours we have earned so far today. It was a very quick 3 hours just now with our 2 pieces that we just did. All right, so we'll go back to our active orders tab here. And maybe these 2 jobs right here, we are ready to start them again. Whatever, we have our new parts and maybe the saw is no longer broken down. I will change these to Saw 2 again as well. So we'll go ahead and start our these 2 jobs. Okay, and now we're ready to close those jobs as well. We don't have any scrap this time. Maybe I did these all by myself, and we'll go ahead and say close. All right, so now we're ready to start our last job of the day. So we'll go ahead and start that. We're still working on Saw 2. We'll go ahead and start that job. All right, and so now maybe we're working on it and we cannot complete it. So we're going to need to put this on hold. So we just click the hold. We have a check mark. We click the hold button, and then we have our reasons here. Maybe we do have a part shortage, so that gets populated here, and then we can put in our part number. All right, and we can go ahead and say OK here. And so now, as long as that alert for adding notes to a card has been set up and the proper people assigned to receive that alert, they would now be getting an email or a browser alert based on what we had just entered. And if we hover our mouse over that, we can see, yes, that note has been added to that card. And you can see the note down there at the very bottom. All right. And let's see. So now we can maybe have a quick look to see our operator efficiency now. Now we've earned about almost six hours here today. All right, Nandu, how are we doing? Do we have any questions for any of this at the moment that we need to go over?
Yeah, I think I got 2 questions. One, when orders are rescheduled to another day, or the sort criteria applied to the day automatically. Yes, by default it will apply the same criteria. The only one thing is, if you set your required ship date as one of the sorting sequences on the top of that, so it will automatically change it. So the required ship date gets the precedence, so it will go to the top. Otherwise, it will be sorted in the same order. Anyway, since you are rescheduling it knowingly, so it is better not to have the required ship date and the sorting conditions, so that way you can avoid that kind of confusion. The second question we got it in here is, do we do the held job reverse the parts daily capacity? No. Until you complete it, the capacity is not getting updated. So the capacity stays as it is, so there will not be any issue. There are only 2 questions we got it in here.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, so now we will log out. We'll log back in as our supervisor here. All right, and we'll quickly jump here to this resequence production orders just to show that yes, the supervisor. I mean, this is a live update, of course, as to what's going on. And if the supervisor does hover the mouse here, it does show that there is a part shortage here for that one. All right, so next we can jump to the report, and then we will go to the OEE reports. We can look at the closed production here and view for today. So we can see all of the pieces for today. And if we click any one of these, it'll give us more detail, the card level details and who it was completed by. And you can drill down for each of your parts, and of course, with all of the other reports here in Ultriva, you can export those and print them as well. All right, so we'll go back to reports here and admin reports. We can look at the operator efficiency here for today. We can see how many hours that Dolores has earned, 5.9, and how many that I have earned. I've been pretty busy. Maybe I'm about ready to call it a day after this. All right, and let's see. We have the scrap report. If any scrap was entered, you can see the pieces that had scrap, and you can click and you can get the reason that was entered. All right, and we can go back to reports. We can we've already seen the capacity utilization. We got there from the resequencing screen. It's this view here. All right, and let's see. We'll look at the OEE report here. So for both of our machines, we have a SAW 1 and a SAW 2. We can see the OEE metrics here. If you hover your mouse over it, it will show you all of the information. And this is taking into account at the item level and at the machine level and operations level. You get to enter in a lot of parameters about how many parts per minute or parts per hour and so forth. And that's how a lot of these metrics here are gathered. Okay. So we can look at the home screen here. This is where on the buyer home drop down, if we click, we have an OEE dashboard. So we can see, the machine SAW 1 was available for 100% of the time today. And we can see the performance for the machine itself as well. And so right now we do see the machines are at 100% availability. And so we can show here, if we go to admin, shift, machine downtime. So, if a machine went down and was not available for a period of time, so maybe for 30 minutes today, SAW number 1 was not available, we can save that. And if we head back here to our home screen, we can see that the machine was not available 100% of the time. We took out 30 minutes of the availability, and it did change our performance a little bit here. All right, Nandu, any other questions come in? Nandu might be muted, so.
No.
Okay.
No, we don't have any other questions in here at this time.
Okay. All right. Oh, I said I selected from beginning here on our slides. Ha! We'll scroll back down to where we were. I think we were right here with our demo. All right. So at the moment, we are ready for poll question number 3. We will go ahead and launch that for you. All right, so now that you've seen a little bit more about the lean factory management, do you think that Ultriva might be able to help you at this time? I'll give it, I see folks are still voting. We'll give it about 10 more seconds here. All right, still coming in. All right, looks like the voting is leveled off a little bit. Okay, we'll go ahead and close that, and we will share that. All right, looks like a lot of people seem kind of excited about this. All right, thank you. And we will head back over here to our slides here. And coming up, we have the next webinar is going to be April 23rd. I think that's about all that we have for today, unless, Nandu, do we have any other questions that came in?
No, that's all we have. We don't have any other questions.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you all very much for spending part of your day with us. We really appreciate it. And we look forward to seeing you again in April.